On today's podcast, we're building off trends that I just shared in the last episode to identify 4 habits your culture needs in the year ahead. Welcome back to the Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome back to the Thermostat podcast, wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today. Welcome in. So glad you are here. We're in season 10, which means we have over 315 episodes or something like that now. And so glad that you're here. So glad this continues to resonate with you. If you're new to the podcast, welcome in. Hope you'll go back, check out those old episodes. So many great things in there. Just Google my name, Jason Barger, whatever topic you're looking for. Chances are you're going to find something that resonates with you. If you are, somebody who's been with us from the very beginning, I'm so grateful this continues to add value to your life and your work, and you continue to show up. And this continues to spread because of people like you. So thanks to everybody that takes the time to share this, to rate the podcast, to subscribe, to leave an authentic review in your own words, to share it with colleagues and amplify these messages, whether that's on social media or on your own team, sharing it and saying, hey, let's listen to this episode and talk about what it means for us. All of those ways help amplify these messages further into the world. And my commitment to you all every time I go to record one of these is I want this to be a place for you in your own life and work to have some kind of oxygen breathed into you, and then also some time and space for you to think about that temperature that you're trying to set in your own personal life, but also in the work and the team and the cultures that you are a part of. So I hope today's episode gets you thinking in some good ways. So thanks for everybody that shares these messages, and thank you for being here today. On last week's episode, if you didn't hear it, you can go back and check out and hear the whole episode, but I shared my insights and reflections, my own observations, as well as some other reputable sources and trends that we're all seeing in terms of people and culture trends in 2026 that are emerging in the workplace. And if you didn't listen to the episode, again, I invite you to go back and you can take a full deeper dive. But quickly, I'll just share with you that I highlighted these 5 kind of key trends that I'm seeing across industries. And as we think about the way that the workplace and the workforce is continuing to evolve, these are some of the trends, the key 5 trends that I see in the year and ahead as it relates to developing people and culture trends right now. And so I talked about the fact that engaging people and, in fact, kind of creating an employee-driven culture where that's centered around values alignment is a trend that continues to be key for the best organizations on the planet. I shared that employee engagement, again, has hit a 10-year low towards the end of 2025. And we're in this very low trusting and low engaged environment right now in the workplace and in the world. The best places are committed to strategically, how are we engaging our people? And the best places are figuring out ways and engaging their people so that their employees can share their voices and they can help drive the kind of workplace cultures and shifts that are really needed. And people that are out there kind of seeking jobs, they are prioritizing working for companies with aligned personal and social and environmental values. They're looking for organizations where people are engaged and that the people are helping to kind of to drive and everybody is a part of creating that culture. And so I talked about that. I talked about this idea of human-centered leadership and that's a trend that I've been seeing now for a number of years, but certainly right now that you've heard me talk about this for some time and highlighting this terminology on my podcast in the past. But as AI continues to grow and practices and greater automation is happening, handling kind of repetitive tasks, these skills that used to be referred to as soft skills, which many, if you're a listener to this, I hate that terminology, because soft skills, these things we used to call soft, are actually the hard ones. They're the ones that people are wanting and needing more of. But these are kind of the core competencies around leadership now, that leaders have got to have a level of empathy and communication and adaptability and builders of trust. And those are becoming more and more the core competencies that leadership has to have. So this rise in how do we develop these kind of human-centered leaders, I'm seeing that across every organization I'm with. Obviously, AI is a practice and a tool. I talked about that as our association with AI is shifting. AI is moving from a mere tool to a practice that we lean on. And it's the challenge that is in front of us is balancing AI efficiency with human judgment. And so we dove a little deeper into that. A couple others that I'll just quickly mention. Again, if you want to hear the fuller, deeper dive with these, go back and listen to that episode. But the other trends I talked about was well-being as a strategy. More and more places are realizing that employee well-being, including mental health, burnout prevention, and work-life balance. You know my terminology. I don't like that. I don't think work-life balance is a great term, because I haven't seen anybody that truly has balance. But what I do talk about, and as I develop this concept and listen to employees and support organizations, we talk about this idea of work-life rhythm. And this is now becoming kind of a core business strategy, is how do we take care of people in a well-being that's not just an add-on program, but it's a strategy for how do we perform better and become a better organization. And connected to that is flexibility, and hybrid models are here to stay. So people have learned to expect and enjoy greater flexibility. That's just a reality right now. And so flexible and hybrid work models are the standard, no longer the experiment. And so we talked about what are some things that some of the best places are doing to, again, not lose performance, but raise performance by being more creative with how do we meet people where they are so that they can deliver their best work in their best working environment. And all of these trends and observations highlight a workplace that is simultaneously becoming more technological in nature, but also even more human, which means it's requiring leaders and people to prioritize trust, empathy, adaptability, and redefine what accountability. I've done a whole pod around that, but these kind of leaders of how we're developing people and culture is as important as ever. So with all of those trends that I just shared in the last episode, on today's podcast, we're building off of those trends to identify 4 habits your culture needs in the year ahead. So stay tuned to learn more. Let's pause, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Many teams and organizations right now are realizing that they need to do both. They need to engage the minds and hearts of their people in person, where everyone in the room can experience the energy of congregating together and find clarity for the road ahead. And they also need to continue to find ways to engage the minds and hearts of their people virtually, with those who are working remotely or at a distance. So, if you are in the process of planning your next team meeting, company all-hands event, conference, or culture summit, and are looking for support with a powerful keynote speech, facilitated team conversations that are the currency for change, or deeper development on leadership mindset and an intentional strategy for the culture you're trying to create, I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. The future of work continues to evolve, and again, trends in the workplace continue to emerge. And I on the last episode, I highlighted some of the things I'm seeing and reflecting on as we think about kind of people and culture trends in the year ahead. And so today we're building off of these ideas of engaging people and employee-driven cultures and values alignment, human-centered leadership, AI as a practice and a tool, well-being as a strategy, and flexibility and hybrid models are here to stay. So the best places, in my opinion, will be strategically and intentionally addressing all of those areas with their people. And again, it doesn't stop. I wish there was a magic button or an easy button that just you hit and magically all that stuff falls into place. But the best cultures and the best leaders are continuously trying to optimize those things and think about how do we maximize them for our people. And in doing so, here are my observations on 4 habits. Not, these aren't the only habits in culture shaping, but here, if you just want some kind of foundational 4 habits that every culture needs right now, as they're developing all of those things and those trends that we talked about on the last episode, here are 4 habits that every culture, in my opinion, needs to be focused on currently and in the year ahead. One is a culture audit. The best places stop every once in a while to take the temperature of their culture. That's my language, but to take the temperature of their culture. We often practice this with many of the organizations and teams that we support, as we have a whole process that helps them identify and take the temperature of their current culture. But we use a process to help support these teams with the tools to help them better understand what is the current state of their culture. By listening to their people and being honest about the current state of their culture, then they're able to put together a strategy to more importantly, not just take the temperature, but set the temperature. Set the temperature for the future culture that they want to create. And so the best places, a habit they're forming, is about every 2 to 3 years, they're doing an audit to look at the culture, but then more importantly, and this is really clear because I know many organizations get in the habit too many times of just doing a next employee survey or a next audit of some sort, but they don't do anything with the information. And so it creates this kind of survey fatigue with their culture. And people look at it, you're asking us all these questions, but I never see what you do with it. That's not what I'm talking about. A culture audit is every 2 to 3 years is strategic about taking the temperature and understanding the current landscape, and then communicating what you've heard from your people and what those themes are and how that's then going to relate to these intentional strategies that you're going to deploy to set the temperature and optimize the culture into the future. So those are some of the best habits that I'm seeing formed as it relates to a culture audit. The second habit is around hiring and onboarding. Hiring and onboarding is not strategic, with every organization, but I'll tell you, the best organizations on the planet, it is as strategic as ever for the best culture shaping organizations. Cultural fit is a two-way street, as you've heard me talk about. I've done whole episodes on that idea of cultural fit when we're hiring of people. And it's a two-way street that is affirmed, which is taught and established throughout the hiring process, of understanding the person that you're hiring and also helping that person understand the culture that they're stepping into or that they would be stepping into. And onboarding isn't seen as a single day or week event, but it's an intentional roadmap for new employees to onboard them culturally into the organization over the first 365 days at minimum and beyond. It's intentional. It's strategic and committed. It's habitual. The best places on the planet, they have habits of how are they hiring and how are they onboarding new people. The third habit, I would say, is that participatory alignment of values. Participatory alignment of values. Core values aren't just handed down from above. They are co-created, or at least employees participate in exercises to align around the language that is more than just a poster on the wall. Values are not meant to just be posters on the wall. The ideas are your posters in your people. And the best places are creating environments where They're engaging their people in participation around what do the values actually look like in action and behavior, and aligning those values in the process. That the core values become a tool for, again, not only how they hire, but how they onboard, how they do performance evaluations, how they have team meetings, and how they think about decisions they are making. This alignment where values are a tool, not a poster. And then the fourth habit that I would point out that I'm observing and seeing in the best organizations right now is that it is a real intentionality around emerging leaders and senior leader development. You can't just expect your people to develop as the human-centered leaders that we talked about on the last podcast. We can't just expect them to develop that way on their own, or think that your leaders are going to magically be aligned in this kind of thinking. The best place is make it a habit, a strategy to intentionally select and develop the emerging leaders for the future. And their senior leaders are committed to their own development process too. Just because they've evolved into a senior leadership role doesn't mean that they're a finished product. And so making sure that everyone is aligned and showing up in this committed way on the type of leadership actions and behaviors that we want throughout our culture. Everyone is an owner of that future culture. And you only earn the right to cascade, that's the fancy term in culture shaping, but cascade that development throughout the organization all the way to the front line. You only get the opportunity to do that if your senior leaders and those emerging leaders and those managers, if those aren't in alignment and aren't showing and practicing the values, not perfectly, but if they're not committed to that, then all the rest of the development breaks down from there. So the best places are really intentional about that senior leadership development, that emerging leader development, and helping to equip people to show up as those human-centered leaders. So I hope today's podcast has gotten you thinking in some good ways, not only about last episode and these kind of trends we're seeing, but here are some proactive habits that you could begin to form as a leader and as a team and as an organization as you move into the year ahead. As always, I'll leave you with some questions to ponder. What habits do you need to strengthen within your culture in the year ahead? What actions and behaviors do you want to strategically develop for your team, your culture, your own personal leadership in the year ahead? So I hope you'll keep tuning in. I hope today's episode got you thinking. I hope it breathed in some good oxygen to you, got you thinking about that temperature that you're trying to set in your life and your work. Again, thanks to everybody out there who subscribes to the podcast, who rates the podcast 5 stars, leaves an authentic review in your own words, and amplifies the messages by sharing episodes that resonate with you, with the people in your life and your work. And remember, the best leaders, teams, and cultures on the planet, they stimulate progress by calibrating their thermostat together and getting clear on that culture that they're trying to set together. So, step back, remember, be a thermostat, and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.